Hello, and thank you for watching Shuffle Realm. Um, Today we're gonna go over my Amber Amethyst bounce deck for Disney's Lorcana. I've been playing Lorcana for a couple months now, since early Chapter 1, not at launch. Couldn't get any sealed package or sealed product at launch. I came in a couple weeks after that was when I found out about the game. And I bought a bunch of cards on TCG Player, kind of played around on Pixelborn to see what I wanted to do, how the game worked. Really liked it, got the starter decks, played with my wife. Now we're all in on Lorcana. Here we are with set 2. Got a box and a trove and a bunch of packs for set 2. I play about 2 or 3 events every week. Get a pack or two or a few here and there, depending on how I do. I don't often get top 3, maybe a couple times I have. Getting a little better. Learning the game. This is my first trading card game since, like, a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! And maybe middle school, but that wasn't really competitive at all. I was just getting some packs and boxes or whatever and playing with my brothers and cousins, and we had fun with that. But now Lorcana, I'm playing competitively, kind of. I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. So let's get into it. I've been playing with the Amethyst bounce package ever since Bloodborne came out, and I'm really enjoying the bounce package. It's a lot of fun. I was first playing it with a little bit of steel. That wasn't it was working a little bit. I wasn't really running a whole lot of steel. It was really more amethyst than anything. I had Smash in there. I had the Prince from set 2 steel, Benja, but that's about all I was really doing with steel. I was just kind of going all in on the Merlin Mim. I even started out playing Mickey in both sets of brooms. That's why I was playing steel initially, because I just wanted to see how that worked, if the brooms could be an actual deck now with Mickey, and it worked a little bit. It was fun, but now that everyone's finding out the meta, you gotta get a real deck nailed down. Figured I'm gonna go with aggro because that's really what I have the most cards to play. I don't really play Ruby, don't have many of the cards for that. I don't have many of the good steel cards. Aggro is, that's where I'm at with my deck. So let's get into it. This deck is, like I said, Amethyst Amber, and we're playing with Stitch and Rockstar Stitch, and a bunch of cheap characters. We want to quest as fast as we can, as quick as we can, get as much lore as we can, and just overwhelm the opponent that way. So we start out with 4 Stitch New Dogs. He's a 1-cost 2/2. He's there to, cheap character, and he can shift into Rockstar Stitch later on. The other 1-cost characters we are playing in this deck. Of course, we have Lilo. I only have 3 Lilos. I don't have 4 of her. We'll hear that a few times throughout this deck. But 3 of her, 3 of Maleficent, biding her time. I feel like 6 of them are enough. I would like to have 4 of each, but that's okay. They work for now. And let's see, are those my only 1-cost characters? Do I have another 1-cost character in here? I don't think I have any more 1-cost characters. I do have Befuddle. I have 3 Befuddles in this deck. And I haven't used Befuddle yet, actually. I just put it in here. And I've actually never played Befuddle in a game, but I keep seeing it more and more in deck lists. And especially with this deck and the whole thing being bounce, I feel like it'll probably work. It'll do good stuff. We'll get it to do what we want it to do. Protect our characters, play them again, get more lore. That's the goal. So that's it for our 1-drops. 2, on our 2-drops, we're going, of course, with Pinocchio. Where's he at in here? Right there. We got 3 Pinocchios, don't have 4 of him yet. Working on it. But 3 Pinocchios, he's a 2-cost uninkable, and he quests for 3, 1/1, so he's very vulnerable, especially on turn 2, turn 3. Your opponent's going to remove Pinocchio if you don't either bounce him back to your hand or have Simba or something. You got to protect him somehow. Speaking of, that's our next 2-drop. We got Simba Bodyguard, the tried, the true, the classic. Not going anywhere anytime soon. 2-cost 2/3, quest for 1, Bodyguard. That's going to be great on turn 2 to help protect Lilo, help protect Maleficent, even protect Stitch if we can't find them yet for some reason. Simba is just a staple. Gotta keep Simba in the game. Gotta have Bodyguard. Other 2 costs we have is Madam Mim Snake. Madam Mim Snake is another crucial character, I think. She does turn into ink a lot, but that's good to have an inkable character when you have a lot of characters that you don't want to ink. Madam Mim costs 2, she does 3 damage, has 3 health, and when you play her, you have to either banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand. So basically you can't play her unless you have another character, or else you're just wasting 2 ink. Unless there's some sort of synergy with banishing your own character that I haven't found yet, I don't think it would be worth that. But she's good for, you know, you quest Lilo, you can quest Maleficent, you can quest Pinocchio, and then play Snake to bounce them back to your hand. If you have enough ink, play them down again, that way they're ready, not as vulnerable. Or keep them in your hand if you know a grab your swords or something is coming, that way you can play them again. She's good for the bounce, which this deck is bounce, so she's got to be in here. Arthur. Well, is that it for our 2 costs? No, we also have a couple more 2 costs. We have LeFou. LeFou's a 2 cost, 1/2, quest for 2. Kind of just fits the theme of getting a lot of lore early in the game. Not sure if he's a staple in this deck, honestly. He also turns into ink a lot. On turn 2, we want to be playing Simba or Pinocchio. So he's really, most of the time, a backup scenario, or just kind of flooding the board of characters later on. He also turns to ink. He is another good, like, you know, him and Snake, they'll be ink on turn 2 if you don't have your right turn 2. You can keep inking, you can keep playing the curve as best as you can, so they're both good for this deck if they work the way they should. If they don't, they're good at ink at the same time. Arthur. Or no, wait, we had one more 2 costs before we get to Arthur. Another 2 cost we have is Yzma. We are playing 3 Yzmas in this deck. I'm talking as if I'm multiple people and saying we. I am playing 3 Yzmas in this deck. She's a good 2 cost character, same kind of as LeFou. Not your optimal turn 2, but a good turn 2 character. Or not turn 2, a good 2 cost character. She's 2/2. When she quests for 1, and when she quests, you can look at the top card of your deck and either put it on the top or the bottom of your deck. So she's good with the card draw thing that we're going for, that you'll see when we get to the other characters. And she can shift into the 6 cost Yzma that we're also running in this deck, which is good for removal and card draw. And also kind of a bounce, but not necessarily bounce because it goes to the opponent's deck. We'll get to that in a bit. And then other 2 costs would be Our Guest. Be Our Guest is a good card. It's a song that costs 2. You draw the top 4 cards of your deck, and you have to reveal a character card, or you may reveal a character card and put it in your hand. So that's good. Most of our characters can sing Be Our Guest, and if we don't have a character we need, then we will most likely have one that can sing Be Our Guest, and we will find the character we need, hopefully. Only downside is the opponent will know what it is, so your opponent will have a little, at least, like, you know, be able to see what's coming or what you're planning. After our 2 cost characters, first up we got Arthur, my favorite character from set 2. He quests for 1, he's a 1/3, 3 cost uninkable, but when he does quest, he can return another character to your hand or another 2 lore. So he basically quests for 3 as long as you have another character on the board, especially when we're playing characters such as, you know, Goat or the small. We want to protect our characters, we want to gain lore. Arthur's good for that. You play Goat, you gain an extra lore. He's just really good. It's kind of ridiculous how good Arthur can be at times, but he can be slow, and he's 3 ink. So your opponent will most likely have a solution, but if you get to use him once, then he did his job and it was worth it. And if you get to use him twice, you're probably gonna win. I think. Next up for 3 costs, we have Mim Fox. Mim Fox is another one of my favorite cards in this set. I completely just don't play Rafiki anymore. I have not played Rafiki since set 2 because of Mim Fox. She's an inkable 3 cost, whereas Rafiki was uninkable. He attacks for 4, whereas Rafiki attacked for 3. But she does bounce. You have to bounce another character to your hand or banish her when you play her, which, I mean, you have to return another character to your hand because you can't banish her. There's no reason to do that. But when you're playing a balanced deck, that is very worth it. So why would I play Rafiki, add another uninkable, when I have this that attacks for 4, kills Simba and lives? I mean, it just does a lot of good things. Mim can really turn ties. She can destroy characters. If she attacks for 4, your opponent's not seeing it coming, even after seeing Fox for a while. It's a surprise every time, it feels like. Great card. Love Mim Fox. She can sing Friends on the Other Side if you absolutely had to do that. Speaking of, that's our next 3-drop. Friends on the Other Side. It's a song and it's an action. Sing it, you play it, you draw 2 cards. Obviously really good for this deck. When we need to flood the board with characters, card draw is going to be pretty essential for this deck. We need card draw for sure. Speaking of card draw, our next 3-drop is Maleficent. When you play Maleficent, you draw a card. She costs 3, she's 2/2, quest for 1. Her main job is to sing Friends on the Other Side. You play her, draw a card. Next turn, she sings Friends on the Other Side. You draw 2 cards. You got 3 cards for playing Maleficent. She's done her job. Anything else is a bonus at that point. Don't even need the lore. You can bounce her back to your hand a lot and play her again, I'm finding. I'm getting that situation pretty often where you don't want to bounce someone else, or she's the only one you can bounce because they wiped out your clear character or your lower cost characters. Bounce Maleficent to your hand, then you know you can play Maleficent, draw another card. You at least have that much. Then we go to Merlin Goat, who's our 4-cost character. Merlin Goat is great. Every time you play him and every time he leaves play, you gain a lore. He quests for 1. He attacks for 4, which that's also really good. You can kill a character for sure. He has 3 health, so if you attack him and he dies in the challenge, he still gains a lore, and there's a good chance he also removes, so you're both trading a character, but you gained a lore out of it, so you still win the trade, in my opinion. Pretty good card. You play him with Arthur. If you have Goat in your hand and Arthur's on the board, that's 5 unstoppable lore. Arthur's ready. You play Goat for a lore, quest Arthur for a lore, return Goat for a lore, get another 2 lore for returning the character. That's 5 lore total, just for playing Goat and having Arthur on the board. Then you have all these characters also questing. It can get to 20 really quick if you have the right cards in the right order. 6-cost character, we have Yzma. Got 2 of her right now. I feel like I want to get more of her in this deck, but there's just, I don't know where the room is. Maybe I cut 1 Befuddle for 1 Yzma. I feel like Befuddle might be better to return my cheap characters to myself sometimes, protect them, as much as also returning their characters in the beginning to let my aggro just keep going instead of being challenged on turn 2, turn 3. We can get another turn or 2 before they step in and, you know, put the brakes on our aggro. And lastly, we have Rockstar Stitch. 6 cost, 3/5. Probably never going to pay 6 ink to play Stitch. The goal is to shift him onto the little Stitch for 4. When you play a character with cost 2 or less, you may exert them to draw a card. So if Rockstar Stitch is on the board, every character that costs 2 or less, let's say Rockstar Stitch is on the board, I play Yzma, I can choose to exert her when I play her and draw a card. And say I draw another 2 or less cost character, you just keep chaining until you have a board flooded with characters. Your opponent's sitting there thinking you didn't have any cards and now you just played 5 of them. It can get wacky. Absolutely wacky. And that's the deck. Things I'm thinking about changing. Well, obviously I need 1 more Lilo, I need 1 more Maleficent. And 1 more Pinocchio. Those are 3 cards I need to add. What I would take out to add them, I don't know. That's where it gets a little tricky, because there's really not much room. I want to add 2 more Maleficents. We don't even have Merlin Rabbit in here. I've considered maybe I should put him in instead of Maleficent, but I'm not gaining card draw. I'm just kind of trading it for uninkable at that point, and I feel like that'd be a bad trade in the deck. So I'm not really sure where Merlin Rabbit would go. I could take out Yzma, I guess, and put in Merlin Rabbit, and then take out this Yzma, put in these ones, but I feel like 6-cost Yzma is also good for card draw. But she's probably the first thing to go, I guess, especially if we're putting in Merlin Rabbit, then we're getting the card draw earlier without needing to bounce someone to do it. I mean, right now I could take out 3 Yzmas, 2 Yzmas. I could take out the 5 of them, put in 4 rabbits and 1 befuddle. I don't know if that's a better call or not, though. It might be. I think it is. See if I have them here. Rabbit's around here somewhere. Where is he hiding? These are all my yellow cards. Rabbit. Where did I put my rabbit? Is he in the binder? Flipping through my binder. No, the rabbit's not in the binder. Where did it? Maybe he's in my trade binder. Let's see if he's in here. No. I think there's 1 in here. I only have 4 rabbits. And I promise my collection is organized. It's not as much as I would like it to be right now because I've been building decks, swapping decks all weekend. It's been a mess on my kitchen table. Where is... Here we go. Dragon, Pearl, no, not rabbit. Oh, is that him over here? I think so. There he is, Merlin Rabbit. Okay. Sorry about that. We take out 5 Yzmas total. Yeah, I'm liking this. I think this will look good. Put in 4 rabbits, even though he's uninkable. I think that's the limit with my uninkables right now. Now I could not add another uninkable to this deck. And I'm kind of pushing it as it is, but let's see. We got 4, 7, 10, 14 uninkables. That's actually not bad. That's not bad at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 uninkables. I missed Lilo. 17 uninkables, that might be pushing it. But, I mean, they're all cheap cost characters. The most ink that this deck needs is 4. Everything can be played with 4 ink. So, I mean, how much ink do we really need? As long as we can ink to 4, we are good to go. We have Be Our Guest, so we can find an inkable character. We have Friends, we have Maleficent. We'll get our ink. We can mulligan for ink. As long as we get to 4 ink, this deck will go. But you have to make sure you play around removal, obviously. You have to be smart with your plays. You can't just dump your whole hand and lose it, and then top deck for the next 6 turns till your opponent wins. That just won't work. The idea, obviously, turn 1, we're playing Lilo or Maleficent or Stitch. If we have all 3 in our hand, it depends. If we go first, I'll probably play Lilo first if I have Simba. If I don't have Simba in my hand, then I would probably play Stitch first because he's a 2/2, he can protect himself. We're really hoping to get Simba in our hand for sure. Turn 2, we're playing Pinocchio. We might play Mim Snake to bounce 1 back to our hand if we have to, just to protect them. Or we're playing Simba, obviously, on turn 2 to protect Lilo, protect Maleficent. That's the ideal. Play these on turn 1, play Simba, depending on what your opponent does. If you're going second, you might want to... you can read it. You don't want to just throw them into their death. They need protection. Turn 3, we obviously want to play Maleficent or Fox, depending on the board state. LeFou is also a good turn 2 backup, or you can ink him. But if you just absolutely draw a bad hand and you need something, like if you have LeFou, you can play him on turn 2. Also, he has 2 health. Turn 3, we're playing Maleficent or Friends. Arthur is tough. You can get Arthur in, but you don't want to play Arthur unless you know your next turn you'll be ready to use him. So he's not always turn 3, because by then you definitely probably want to draw cards if you didn't get the best mulligan or starting hand. If you did, then I guess you can go ahead and charge in with Arthur and just start questing and doing what you need to do. But a lot of the time, as long as your opponent's playing the game, it won't be that simple. So Arthur, you get him in when you can to combo him in with the goat or the rabbit. You know, really just try to get lore, get cards, do all you can with Arthur. You could also bounce one of your cheaper characters back to your hand to play them again, so that way they're safe, and then they can quest again their next turn. Turn 4, we are playing Goat, we are playing Rabbit, or we are shifting Stitch. Shifting Stitch is going to be big in this deck. Otherwise, it's just I mean, not otherwise. It really just supports the aggro. You're laying down cards, you're drawing cards. Rockstar Stitch, the synergy, if I really need one more of him, that's for sure. But maybe not. 3 might be enough. I'm sure it'll work. So we have our deck. This is it. Just made some last minute changes too. I think this is gonna work. I think 17 unequables might be a little high, but I mean that's what it would have to be anyway if we added 3 here. So it would be 16. I guess I would take out 1 rabbit for any of them, but that would still be unequable. I would take out 1 rabbit for 1 Rockstar Stitch. Maybe not Lilo and Maleficent. Maybe I would just do 1 more Pinocchio. They have the 1-cost characters. I mean, get 10 of them, we'll find them. If not, we can play Befuddle on first turn. We'll find a 1-drop in our opening hand. We have to. If not, then you're really behind. But I'm gonna put this deck together, put it in my Mickey Mouse True Friend sleeves and my KMC outer sleeves. And then tomorrow night I will take it to our casual night at the LGS here in town. See how it does. I think it'll do pretty decent as long. I don't know. Steel hurts it pretty hard. Grab your swords is always detrimental to this deck. If you're playing steel, you definitely don't want to flood your board with characters too much. Even though that's your your strategy is to flood the board, so it's hard not to fall behind and just start top decking against steel. That plays grab your swords or big tink. Big tink is definitely detrimental to this board. But every other matchup I seem to do pretty good with the aggro bounce. I just used a version of this deck yesterday, and I went 3-2. Wasn't my best. I lost to a steel green, steel emerald discard deck. Discard decks are very hard to play against this. But we'll see how this does tomorrow, and I'll come back and make adjustments, and we'll see how it goes from there. Maybe we'll toss the whole deck out, start playing something else. Maybe we'll just have to change a couple cards. Maybe we'll win or get some of the cards we need in trade and get a little bit better. But thank you for watching. This has been Let's Build a Deck with Shuffle Realm, and I'll see you next time.